My name is Melissa Ziobro, and I am the Specialist Professor of Public History at Monmouth University in West Long Branch, New Jersey. Today is August 23rd, 2021. We are here today with Franco Minervini for an interview to augment the exhibit, Monmouth County 9/11 and its Aftermath. This interview is being recorded with the permission of all participants. Franco, can you just confirm for me that you do indeed consent to the recording and that you understand this interview will live in the public domain?
I agree, and I believe it.
Okay, thank you.
I believe it'll last a long time.
Thank you. Well, who knows what technology has in store for us in the future, right? So Franco, can you tell us just a bit about your early life? When and where were you born and raised?
Oh, I was born in Italy, Molfetta, Italy, in an area that's pretty much big with stone carvers. I grew up watching people carve stone. I studied them more than I studied work at school. And my grandfather was a stone carver, and he taught me a lot at a very young age.
Wow, so your grandfather was a stone carver, not your father, though?
Correct.
Okay. And so did you spend your childhood in Italy? When did you come to the United States?
I was 13 years old. And there were no stone carving. I looked around that there was no stone carving around being done. Nobody even heard of such a thing as carving stone. And it wasn't until 1984, I believe, when there was a special documentary that won an Oscar, and the name of it was The Stone Carvers of Washington, D.C. And I watched it, and it was like a lightning. I said to my wife, honey, I got to do this. I went down there the very next day, and I applied for a job. And when I applied for a job, the guy that interviewed me, his name was Vincent Palumbo. And the first question he asked me was, who's your father? And I said, well, Vincenzo. Who's your grandfather? I said, Michele. And he said, I think I know him. I worked with him. And I was struck. He's one of the carvers that I used to watch. I know. I was like, wow. Well, I got the job. But I had a machine shop, a successful machine shop in New Jersey. And I put that on hold for a little while. So I had a part-time job working Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday in Washington, D.C., and the rest of the week in Freehold, New Jersey. And little by little, one monument after another, people started to know me.
Wow.
I guess.
That is incredible. Now, where you said in Washington, D.C., where specifically was that first stone carving job with the gentleman who knew your grandfather?
It was the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. Incredible job. It was like, I couldn't wait to go back. As hard as it was, driving back Friday nights, the traffic in Washington, D.C., the traffic in Baltimore, traffic in Philadelphia. Every week I quit. I said to us, I can't do this again. Come Tuesday, I couldn't wait to go back. Wow. It's like, and the master carver was very shrewd, because he gave me, every week he would give me more and more, better and better work. I couldn't quit. So it was very smart, and it was something that I had to do. I love to do it. Luckily for me, I had a wife that was very supportive.
It's almost like it was fate.
Yeah, well, you could say that, but yeah, maybe that's what it was. I don't know what else to say. Everybody I knew, friends, family, thought I was crazy, leaving a successful business for close to minimum wage, carving stone.
Wow.
And I loved it. I loved it.
What was the master carver's name?
Vincent Palumbo,
Okay, Vincent.
a wonderful man. He passed away a few years ago.
Was your grandfather still alive? Did he know that you became a stone carver?
No, he didn't. No, he never knew. He would have been smiling. He would have smiled. He would have agreed with me. He would have understood me.
So let's bring it up then to the month of September 2001.
Oh,
Where were you living and what were you doing for work at that time?
well, I was working at the machine shop in Freehold, and my wife called me and told me the news, and it's like frozen in time, just like everybody. Like everybody has stories of that time, and I didn't even consider about making a monument, but I also looked around a year later, 2 years later, and I was watching people erecting monuments that were not suitable, monuments that had nothing to do with it, very simple models. And I knew I could do better. I knew I had to do something. And luckily, the Monmouth County held a contest of what they had in mind, a monument. They just didn't know what they wanted, but the only thing they had was a beam from the World Trade Center. They said, if anybody wants to look at it, here's the beam. As soon as I saw that beam, I knew that was the monument. The beam is the real monument. All I had to do was find a way of taking this beam, taking the souls, and take all the souls and bring the beam up to heaven. Something that would give comfort to the victims' relatives. That is all I had going for me, is that I wanted the relatives to like it. And they did. So, the beam, the eagle, as you see, is clutching the beam and it's taking it up to heaven, away from the World Trade Center, up. And everyone I spoke to did like it, which was something important to me. That's what I seek as an artist. And the one thing I wanted to add is the face of the eagle was very, very difficult to get, because I didn't want the eagle to be too realistic, because a real eagle is angry looking. It looks bitter. And I didn't like it. I did one face and it was good, but not what I wanted. I did a second, a third, nine faces I made. I looked at it and said, oh, yes, this is it. This is like revenge, angry. Every emotion that you could think of is in that face. Look at that eagle next time you see it, and look at what it's saying. Look what it's looking at, and know that took me 9 times. I don't know how many hours, but that doesn't matter. But that face will last 500 years.
Wow. Just a little bit about your process. What happens to those 8 other faces?
I scrapped them.
Okay.
It didn't matter.
So there were, I believe, over 30 entries, and yours is selected. Do you recall how you found out that you had won? Was it a phone call or?
There was a meeting. They held a meeting, and I was shocked, because I'm a man without resources. I don't know anybody. I didn't have any special way of speaking, no special education, but I have passion. And I knew what I wanted. And this eagle, I mean, just the wings of the eagle. It's just something beautiful. I'm very proud of it.
You should be. You should be. So you said when you first saw that beam, the vision kind of quickly came together. Did you stick with that initial vision, or did it kind of morph over time once you knew that you'd won the design competition?
Oh no! Once I won the competition, it was just a matter of delivering what I gave him a model,
Okay.
just delivering the model and knowing how to do it. But
Okay.
that beam, once I saw that beam, I don't believe in a lot of spiritual
Mhm.
things, but this beam grabbed me.
Mhm.
I was alone in my shop with this beam, and I'm just looking at it, and I said, "Oh my God!" I mean, this beam twisted. It what fury was this under? What's the? It was just amazing. And this, like I said, that was um, the real monument is the beam. And I go every time I go there, I touch it, and it's I still think about that day and the many days after, because what happened after that is also important. That made the eagle look the way it did.
Mhm.
Um, Passion, the patriotism that it shows, the strength, the it wants to get even.
What do you want people to feel when they visit Mount Mitchell?
Oh wow! Um, I want, if they could, understand the victim, understand the families. It's very important that the family gets something out of it. I want them to look at the names. These are all young people.
Mm.
I mean, there's so much to live for, and uh, it's not something that you can forget. And it's a beautiful monument, but not too beautiful that it masks the pain. Um, it's um, it's a monument that will last for a long, long time. Somebody asked me, how long do I guarantee? I said 500 years
Mhm.
and maybe more.
Now the stone will last, but unfortunately, there have been some acts of vandalism up there. Do you recall hearing about
Ye-
that? And how did that make you feel?
Oh, it hurts every time. I made the talents for some reason. People like to touch them, grab them, knock them. It's the only part that they can damage,
Mm.
unless you. Well, I don't really want to think about it, but the talents I made them again. I think a couple of times, but
Mm.
they should be okay now. I don't think people will vandalize it anymore. At one point they wanted me to cut the beam, and I refused because the beam had been through enough. Yeah, it's been through enough. I'm not going to cut it
Why did they want you to cut it?
because it would stick out too far, and
Mm.
people wouldn't for safety reasons.
Yeah.
But I made it. I put it in a way that it didn't stick out too far.
Hmm. Oh, that's interesting. Do you think that people are forgetting about 9/11 and those we lost and the lessons we learned that day?
I guess it is natural, but to those that were alive then, no, it can never be. It's like forgetting Pearl Harbor. It's like forgetting the death of John Kennedy.
Mm.
Those that went through it will remember always.
Mm.
The rest is history.
And your memorial certainly helps for everyone to remember and to heal.
Thank you.
Well, this has given us some wonderful insight into what went into creating the memorial and what it means to you. Is there anything else you'd like to add that we haven't covered?
Well, all I can add is that I hope the families, I hope those that survive feel as much about it as I do. I want them to know that I did the best I could.
That's wonderful, Franco. Thank you. I'm going to stop the recording now.